Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Natalie Masson, and here at Fertility from the Soul, I guide women on their fertility journey and beyond. I am a psychotherapist focusing on the mind-body connection, and all of my programs are about connecting with mind, body, and heart to bring about our best fertility and our best optimal health overall. So I am very excited today to be chatting with a friend about what is up with age and our attitudes about age. This is a very common theme that comes up in our fertility world, in parenting, life in general. People have a lot of thoughts about age and what it means to be getting older, what you should and shouldn't be doing at different ages. And so I thought this would be a fun topic. And I'll give you a little bit of background too. We have a special guest today, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I came to know of Leselle Theus. I was just bopping around social media, and I saw this blog post where she shared about hanging out with her friend and expressing that she's, got the door open for a second child, and she's 47 years old. And her friend said, I think it's selfish to consider having another child at that age. And Lisel wrote in her blog all of her thoughts about her friend's comments. And it resonated with me so much because I have heard things like this. People don't usually say those things to me directly. So I had my children at 42 and 46. And I love being a mother. I am 52 years old now. I'm losing count. You stop counting at some point. I'll be 53 in May. And it shocks me sometimes, the things that people will suggest about age and parenting and age in general. So I reached out to Lisel to see if she would be willing to come on to the channel here, and together we could just represent what older mothering can look like and feel like. And I'm so glad to bring in our guest today. I'm going to see if I'm able to do my technology here. Now, if you're here and watching live, please go ahead and type in the chat so we know that you are here and you are hearing us. Hi, Lisel. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Woo-hoo-hoo.
This is really fun and exciting. We just actually met face to face, not in person, right? Social distancing, but we're also not in the same location. You're in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm in San Diego, California.
Right? Correct.
So,
Yes, I love San Diego. It's like my favorite place.
yeah. So, I want you to tell us, can you just like jump into, I just think that was the thought that came to my mind. I think it was a pregnant moment when your friend said, I think that's selfish, right? And that was where your blog starts. And for those who haven't read it, can you share with us what happened next? And for those who are here live, watching on YouTube or watching on Facebook, can you just go ahead and type in the chat so that we know this is live and you're here? Can you let us know if you have had any of these, if you've heard any of these kind of attitudes, if you've felt some insecurity yourself, if you are an older mother, you're hoping to be an older mother, you are older and you're hoping to become a mother is what I'm trying to say. Let us know in the chat about your experiences. And Lisel, take it from there. Tell us about what happened, what was going on. You're sharing with your friend. Let's hear your side of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just innocently sharing, which, by the way, I love my relationship with her, that we could be so open and honest with each other. So it took me by surprise because I'm just sharing my heart. And then there was just crickets once I said that. And then she just said kind of coyly, I kind of think that's selfish. And it was like I froze in time because nobody had ever said that to me. So maybe people have thought it, but nobody's
And can
ever
you remind
actually.
us, where are you now as a mother, and what was it exactly that you said to her when she said
Yeah,
that?
I'm 47 and I have a 4-year-old son. And I just said, because my son every day he prays for a sibling. And so I was just saying that, Drew continues to ask for a sibling, and I'm like, I just really want to be able to do that for him. I just want to be able, and not to mention, I love being a mom, right? And so she's just like, yeah, I think that's selfish. And I'm literally, I was so shocked because I've never heard that. I mean, like I said, I'm sure people think of it. And since the blog post, seeing the so many comments and the reactions, people get this all the time, but I just never had. And so I was just like, huh. And so I just paused for a second. And I was just like, well, what? I mean, I completely disagree, right? Because I'm like, why is it selfish to want to have another baby? Like, why should my age stop me from having another baby if I can help it? And she's just like, oh well, you're gonna leave this child on earth by him or herself, and all the different things, which I I get it, right? I get it. But for me, that's actually more of a reason why I need another child for my kids, right? Like, if technically I'm supposed to be gone in like 20 years, then he's gonna need somebody to share life with. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, it was just so odd to me because I'm just like, I've never thought of age like that, like in a limiting capacity.
Yeah,
So,
right. And that's what we
right,
were talking about yesterday when we chatted briefly. When you don't live in that ageist kind of perspective, when you don't look through that lens, these comments almost hit you out of left field like, what? Are we speaking the same? Do we live in the same world?
right.
I'm going to share with you a very similar, not so kind sounding comment that came to me because I was going to say nobody's ever said anything like that to me directly, although there was that one time. I'm not going to go there right now. It was a relative on my husband's side of the family who went into some rant. I am going to talk about it. I was 5 months pregnant with my
Do it, do it.
and we were at a beach party, family beach party. He starts ranting like, "This is wild! Like your child's going to be in kindergarten and you're going to be 50 something. Oh my God." And everybody sat there and just didn't say anything. And finally, I just said, "Stop it.
Oh, wow.
Just stop it."
Wow.
It wasn't done like you're saying your friend was just doing this. She was just sharing her heart, right?
Yeah.
And this was just like, oh my gosh, what a outrageous thing. He's talking to a woman who's 5 months pregnant. So, but
Wow.
this is a comment that came in on my Facebook ad. So once in a while, I'll run Facebook ads to let people know about my programs for improving egg quality, just to open their minds, to let them know that that's a thing. It's not just because you're getting older, your eggs are declining and your chances are just going down and down. There's nothing you can do about it. There's a lot of possibility. That's what I believe. That's what the science says. That's what my experience was. So I share this free download, which is in the comments below, actually, the very same one. And most of the time, people are really, supportive, likes and hearts. And once in a while, somebody just goes in the other direction, negative Nancy. So this one was one of those. She says, if a woman did not conceive by 40, it is selfish to keep trying after. Child needs mother alive for many years, not mom grandma age. I'm laughing because some of my high school classmates are grandmas and wonderful for them.
Yeah.
I'm grandma age. Okay, look at me. I'm grandma age. Whoa. Women entering menopause, raising a toddler is not really a good idea for so many reasons. Let's not forget risks baby will have with complications. Draw a line somewhere. Nature has its course, and we should not challenge our luck with it. A new innocent being is to be created. And she went on to defend herself some more when I said, well, I said a few things. She says, people need to be realistic for the sake of children. Nature is what it is, and we don't live long enough to have children at an old age without leaving them to others to raise.
Wow.
I got one foot in the grave.
Wow.
Like, somebody actually liked her comment. So, she's not the only one who's thinking that.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And I feel like, yeah, but I feel like it's also kind of, what's the word? Thinking that just because you're 20 or 30, I mean, life, talk about nature is nature, life is life, right? So you have no idea. You could think, oh, okay, well, I'm going to have my kid in my 20s. And then what? I mean, tragedy happens. I mean, obviously, not wishing that on anyone. So there's just absolutely no reason to think that, you go into it thinking like that. I go into it thinking, which is what I mentioned in the blog. I love who I am in my 40s. I love it. I love that I've experienced life. I love that I've traveled. I'm coming into my own that I was far from. Far from. Okay, yeah, maybe I'm a late bloomer, whatever that means. But I love this stage where I am right now. I am so much more patient. I am so much more intentional. And for me, it's like Drew gets to benefit from that. Me as a mom, not freaking out with every little thing, not, you know what I mean? Like me being very thoughtful about teaching him about his words and raising a kind human being. Yeah, would I have been a good mother at 20s or 30s? Possibly, probably. But am I a great mom now? Yeah, I think I am, because of life and because of my experience and because of my security and confidence in who I am. Motherhood challenges you anyway. So I can't even imagine being less confident, less sure, and still having to do this. I wouldn't change it for 1 second. For 1 second. So, I mean, to each his own, obviously. But guess what? My own is the fact that I'm in my 40s and I have a toddler, and God willing, I'll have another one. And that thought alone is just the most thrilling, exciting thought ever. So,
I know there's so many people who are watching who are just like grinning, just hearing your positive energy. And I would say this, what you're saying about getting wiser and more secure, more confident, if we're taking the opportunity to grow, which I hope everybody is doing as they move through the years, are we learning lessons? Are we figuring a few things out year by year? Then every year is wiser than the last year. So every year we have more to offer in whatever we're doing in our career, as a friend, as a family member, as a parent, whatever pathway we're on, we can get, like fine wine, we can get better and better with age. And I think it's just a perspective that age means you're breaking down, breaking down, breaking down. Now, certainly there's a life cycle, our mortality, and we peak physically at a certain point, and then shoot, man, we start, it happens. You cannot defy gravity. It goes down at some point. But our wisdom, it just keeps growing.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm hearing. You appreciate all that you have now that you didn't have 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. How could you, right?
Right. I mean, and that's just natural. You're just in a different space, right? I mean, I remember talking to one of my sisters, and and she was kind of like, a little embarrassed because she's in her 40s and she still wants it, and and her, and just like a lot of people, they don't want to tell their age, or they don't want to this, and I've never been that person, because I'm like, it's age, it's just, I mean, it's just a number. It means to me, it means nothing to me. And for me, and I wish people would get that.
would just be so free to live your life and just to exhaust each day. And for me, the what you do in life, regardless of your age, is that you make sure that you are better. Like every year, right? It's like, oh, it's a brand new year. Okay. The brand new year doesn't matter if you look the same like you did last year, right? If you're not growing. That's the bottom line. You grow as a person, you exhaust, you squeeze every single thing out of life every day, fulfilling why you are here, impacting other people's lives. That's what life is about. Once you start putting all these limitations on you, like age and, and energy and all this stuff, you all of a sudden, that's your energy, that's what you're creating, that's your universe, and you literally have just stopped. You've stopped. And here's the thing, if you're not growing, you're dying. There's no in between. You're either growing, or you're dying. And you know what? I'm going to grow. So every year, and you know what? Having a kid at this age helps you stay younger.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm on those monkey bars. I am running circles around the playground.
Oh my gosh. My son,
if my kids were all grown up.
I mean, nonstop, right? I joked in the blog that I literally said to God, I'm like, okay, if you're gonna give me a kid at this age, you have to give me the energy to match. Truly. I mean, and my husband, like, I know he says to me, like, where do you get the energy? And I'm like, hey, I gave birth to twins, him and some energy to go with it. Because it's not going to work any other way. I mean, so there is a natural part, right, to it. But for me, in order to keep up with him, I make sure that I'm eating healthy. I make sure that I'm exercising. I make sure that I'm feeding my mind. I make sure that I'm feeding my soul. I make sure all of those things, right? Because I want to be my best self, for me, but secondly, for him, right? And I want him to see what it's like, and there are no limits. And, I once said to my husband, when he was saying, oh, you're at this age and all this stuff, and I just had to shut it down. And I just said, listen, you don't have permission, you nor anyone else, to use my age as a limiting factor for me, ever. I don't do that to myself. I don't live like that. And I'm not going to let anybody put that else on me. So hopefully people, do the same thing, right? It's like, and most times that's other people, they're projecting on you, right? And so it's kind of like, that's your perception. That's how you want to live your life. That's great. But for me, I'm going to maximize it. I'm going to squeeze every single thing out of it every day, every week, every month, every year. And, whatever is for me is for me at this stage, at this age. And I'm proud of it.
So inspiring. So, and so much of what you're saying is what I've been teaching in my fertility programs. It's really what I would teach about living, and it's what I would teach about how to optimize your fertility too. It's just, so many times people want to know what to do, what to eat, what supplements to take, what, the timing, all this, that, all these micro pieces. And those things can have an impact, of course. But what they forget is the importance of living fully and richly. And when we want to come back to that, if we want to come back to that notion of what's selfish, first of all, like, who's the judge, really? But if we want to look at it from that perspective, we could draw that word in and say, to bring or wish another being in and not take care of yourself so that you can be your best self. I'm not going to put derogatory words like selfish, but it's not serving. It's not serving your vision. It's not serving your creation. It's not serving yourself. Yeah. And if we come back to what you said, nourishing your mind, nourishing your body, nourishing your soul, that's the fertile energy right there. Anyway,
right. Exactly.
That's what tells our body we're full, we're resourced, we have energy to give out more. Because if your body is depleted, if your heart is sad, if you're feeling empty, why is your nervous system going to say, let's devote a whole bunch of energy to a whole other being?
Right.
No, it's not that dumb. It's like, no, we don't have enough to go around. We're keeping this for ourselves. We're not creating any more.
Exactly.
Right. So what you're talking about in this very kind of just holistic, energetic way, like literally, physically, and medically makes sense also as to why we're more able to conceive. We're helping our chances if we're feeding our body, if we're nourishing our system from that standpoint of, how will I sustain myself and another person? How will I have the energy to chase this toddler around? And if you don't have that kind of energy, you might think twice about, are you serving yourself and this child best to set up for this next 18 years of servitude?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So I think that's my job every single day. To go to bed on time. I struggle with that one. To feed myself, to, to take care of myself emotionally and mentally, because it's not just good for my well-being, but those I'm caring for.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, and not to mention, I think what you're doing is just such a gift to so many women, because you get to the point, because I have friends like that where that's all they're doing is just looking at this clock, right? And just stressing every year, when the person isn't there, or when the opportunity, and it's just stressing. And it's like, that's not like what you're doing is helping people just relax, connect to who you are, and just know that what is meant for you is meant for you. And truly, it's just really the big S word, right? Which I call surrender, right? It's literally just surrendering, because you are here, you have your desires, if it is part of your purpose to be a mom, you will be. But part of being a mom, I remember before I got married, I mean, I was single for quite some time, and I felt that it was coming. And so for me to prepare for it, I started really talking to my friends that were married and had been married for years. Like, what is something you wish that you knew? Or really doing the work and putting myself in situations that forced me to be selfless, right? Because I'm single. I've been single for 40 something years. I do whatever I want, whenever I want. Nobody gets to tell, right? Because that's just, but I knew being married, that was going to be challenged. And I'm not going to go from 40 something doing whatever I want to now all of a sudden being married and and having to be in somebody's space and them in my space. It was going to turn my world upside down. So I started forcing myself to I put myself in situations where I was being selfless, right? For friends, them asking for ridiculous requests. Like my one friend, she got a dog and she had to go pick up the dog, and the dog was like 2 hours away on a Saturday at like 6 a.m. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. But I might be asked to do stuff like that when I'm married, right? So in my single nature, it's like, yeah, no, I'm going to sleep in. No thanks. But in my single nature, getting ready for marriage, I was like, fine, I'll do it, right? So like preparing myself because I knew that was coming next. And for me, as we think of motherhood, it's not just, oh, my egg quality. Yes, that's a huge major part. But it's also like, are you selfless? Do you know how to serve? Do you know how to surrender? Do you know how to pivot when things aren't going your way, right? Or are you going to throw a tantrum like your toddler? I mean, it's like stuff like that, right? Like really preparing yourself. It's not just like, oh, it's just all about the egg. And so because we get so focused just on that, then you miss all the other pieces that play into wonderful motherhood, right? And so for me, we talked about it when when my doctor told me that we should probably look at donor eggs. Like,
yeah.
wait.
So hold on here. I want to give people a little bit of a timeline, because this is an interesting piece of story.
Okay.
And I'm also distracted because my video has gotten really blurry. Are you seeing that? Am I blurry? I'm going to try to just do something.
It is blurry.
Get the focus back in here. I don't know what's going on. It makes me look like I have really smooth skin, though.
Your skin looks amazing.
Thank you. It's partly because the webcam's not focusing. I don't know what's going on. Oh, well, here we are.
It's like the skinny mirror you wanted.
Right, right. The blurry webcam. Love it. So we both got married a little bit later. So I'm going to tell a little story related to the surrender piece, because I think that's the S word. I've never heard that as the S word, but I love that. Because there was a post in the same Facebook group where we met where somebody said, what do you think helped you get pregnant? All women over 40. And half of the responses, and this is a very active Facebook group, so there were, like 50 responses in a couple hours. Half of the responses had to do with letting go and reducing stress. It's like, interesting what happens when we shift that energy, right? It's not always the answer, but for many, that's what they felt was different when they conceived. Yeah. And going back to the finding a partner thing, I was single for a long time too. I was like, by 35, I was like, man, what is up? And by 37, I was like, well, maybe it's not going to happen. And I actually went through this exercise where I made peace. I made peace. Like all my life, I thought I was going to be partnered, have a family, whatever. And it's not happening. And I decided, well, who's to say that it's going to happen? Is there a guarantee that says you will find a life partner? No. And the more time I spend looking for it, waiting for it, holding off on life because I'm waiting for that to happen, more time's just going by where I'm still living with a roommate like I'm a college student. I said, you know what? No, I'm going to assume that it's not going to happen and make choices as if it's not going to happen. So I bought a house and by myself. Like, I don't know if he is going to come and what he's going to want. I'm going to buy what I want.
Yes.
And I literally would put on music and I would dance with my broom, my push broom. I had a push broom to sweep my hardwood floors. And I would just play with the image of being with a perfect partner. It was a known fantasy. I wasn't trying to wish this into my lap. I was like, let me just dance with this perfect partner. And I just enjoyed that without longing. I wasn't like trying to bring it in, trying to go find it. I was just like, maybe it'll never happen, but I can still play with this dream.
Yeah.
And it was that year that I met my now husband. I was 37 when we met.
Wow.
So meeting your husband was later too.
Yeah, completely. I mean, and I got to the point, I mean, the good thing is, I mean, my parents, they never, I mean, I have 5 sisters, okay? And they've never pressured us about getting married, having grandbabies, like none of that. It was literally just live your life to the fullest, because what is for you is for you. And so I got to the point, I mean, I kind of always knew that I was gonna be married and have kids, but I wasn't pursuing it, right? Because I'm like, I mean, it is what it is. I was in New York, I moved here because I'm like, okay, well, it's time to settle down, buy a place, all that kind of stuff. And so I did. And I remember telling my mom one time, I'm like, Mom, I mean, like, how am I supposed to meet anybody? I literally just go to work and then I go to church and like, that's it. And my mom's like, you don't have to worry. Walk your path and he will be right there along your path. And so I was like, all right, cool. And so I just lived my life. I didn't think about it. I was like, you know what? I'm single. So I started a singles group at church. I was like, hey, I want to travel. So, hey, we're going to Italy. Hey, I was just living my life. I was having the time of my life and I didn't feel empty. I wasn't lacking. I was living full. And so when I felt the time come, like literally, I was just at home and my parents had come to stay for me for a little while. And I felt that was me like preparing for people being in my space. like all the time, right? Like having to make that shift. And I was like, okay. And I had this weird dream. It sounds so weird, but I had this weird dream and I woke up and I was like, Mom, I think I'm about to meet my husband. Sounds weird. And literally, we got ready, got dressed, went to church, and I met my husband at church that day. Crazy.
Wow.
So crazy. So anyway, but my doctor, right? Like she every year, we're going, she's like, all right, what are we thinking about kids? What are we thinking? I'm like, I mean, I already had a dream 20 plus years ago and I saw my kids. So I already know I'm having them. So yeah, but there's no guy. What are we gonna do? Every year. And I'm just like, So when I told her, hey, I met this guy, I'm thinking he's the guy, right away, she's like, prenatals, let's go. Let's go. She put me on prenatals the moment I met him. But she was still, and so we dated for 2 years. So I was on prenatals for 2 years before we even got married.
And how old were you when you met?
I met him at 40. 40?
Okay, so you met at 40 and you dated for 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Right. And so, so literally, but I was so, no, wait, that's not 40. 42 is when I got married, right? So, because my son, yes, 42, I got married. So anyway, so she was just like, yeah, but, let's go. And I'm sweating. But anyway, long story short, she wanted me to just go talk to a fertility doctor, about donor eggs. I was like, yeah, I already had the vision. I saw my kids. They look like me. So, I know this is not the route or the path for me. And she's just like, I know, but, I'm like, oh, well, we'll see. Literally, we go on our honeymoon. We come back, I'm pregnant.
So let's just summarize here. You've been with someone for 2 years. You had not tried to get pregnant, and your doctor said, go to the fertility clinic to talk about donor eggs. You have not even had an unsuccessful attempt at getting pregnant. And that is the age bias to not even give you a chance to see what, like, there's such a deep rooted belief that you're all dried up.
Right.
The number 4 at the start of your age must mean you're all dried up.
But it's like, just think about what that does for you, right? Like, think about, had I taken that on, right? Had I really accepted that, I would have been freaking out, right? And then, of course, then that doesn't help anything at all. That doesn't help anything. And so because I rejected that, like I said, I'm just living my best life. And then sure enough, here comes, sweet Drew.
Now, did you actually go to the fertility clinic to have that conversation? You didn't go. Okay. That was just your doctor telling you that's your next step. Your next step is,
this is what I need to do.
Shop for someone else's egg for you, because certainly yours won't be viable.
Right. Yeah. Mine are scrambled. Mine aren't. Scrambled. Mine don't work. But yeah, completely fine. So, I just think that's, like you were saying, that's part of the issue, right? Where you have the doctors and right away, oh, well, you have to go to this, specialist. And, and it's interesting because my sister got pregnant when she was 40, and she went to a different doctor that never once mentioned anything about her age. Like, never once. It was just, they didn't tell her she needed all these special tests. They just treated her like, okay, you're healthy. There's no reason why we should expect that this would be an unhealthy pregnancy. And they just treated her as such. Mm-hmm. And everything was completely normal. Completely.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
Yeah.
And your doctor was working on you for years, prepping you to be anxious about not being able to get pregnant.
Right.
Every year saying, what about now? What about now? She was anxious. And she's like, fortunately, you already had this amazing foundation. Sounds like your parents were amazing. at
Right.
helping you just kind of like breathe and trust and be
Yeah.
open to what arises. So you didn't internalize that. You're like, okay, doc, whatever you say. No,
Exactly.
you made up your own mind what you wanted your attitude to be. And I think it's so helpful to hear that there's this whole range of perspectives and different doctors, like your example, your sister's doctor and your doctor, different attitudes, different stories. And so we really have choices over which mindset do we want to internalize and how do we want that to influence us? Because what I always say is nobody knows what your chances are.
Right.
They can look at the charts and say, well, other women at this age tried for this long and have these outcomes, but they don't actually know what your outcome is going to be.
Right.
And do you want to go in with the assumption that you can't, or do you want to go in with the assumption that we'll find out?
Right.
We'll discover what's possible.
Right.
And what that should do to our energy when we say, I don't know what's going to happen. Or in your case, I'm pretty sure because I had the vision.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so, I mean, and literally, and so I remember, so even now, as I'm telling her that, you know, like I said, you know, and she's just like, we looked at the numbers, we looked at this, we're not really sure. And I said to her, this is literally what I said to her. I said, here's the thing. I already had the vision. I already know it's going to happen. I said, so all I need you to promise me is that when it does, you use my story to inspire somebody else with numbers like mine.
Oh.
Literally. That's
Look at you.
She was just like, okay. And I'm so serious about that. I'm so serious about that.
Dying.
I'm not, but here's the thing. Like I already saw the vision. But here's the thing. Talk about that surrender. I am good because I truly believe what is for me is for me. So I really I wanted sibling for my son. I already had my vision. I believe it. But guess what? If something were to happen, I'm okay. I'm okay because whatever I am meant to have is for me and I'm going to maximize it. And it was interesting because I had even thought like my sister was saying, you know, what about, you know, adopting and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, that was just never like a thought for me. Like I was just like, because I already saw the kids and they looked like me. So I'm like, I never even, but I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm like, if this is something in my future, then, you know, like my heart will change and it will happen and all that stuff. And I, again, didn't think about it. I wasn't just like, oh, obsessing. I was just like, whatever. I'm just living my life. And before you knew it, all of a sudden my heart changed. And I was like, if this were to be, I would be okay adopting. That was not me years ago.
Oh my God.
And again, so I don't know what it is. I don't know where my story is going to land. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that I'm so surrendered to God, to whatever He wants for me. If I am meant to give birth myself to a kid or parent or mother somebody else's kid or whatever the case may, I am so surrendered. And I just know whenever the opportunity is presented to me, whatever it is, I will do it to the best of my ability. And in the meantime, though, I'm not going to stress about anything, because that is not a recipe for success for any area in your life, period.
This is so moving to me because, and I'm going to start crying because what you're saying is what I believe so deeply. And it's what I try to convey to others. And I know I'm not the only person who believes this. And to have somebody else who's speaking this so clearly is just a real gift. And so thank you for sharing your heart in this way. And I really want to highlight what I think is so key to that S word, the surrender, is the belief that I am going to be okay on many pathways. It's that willingness to let go of the grip
Yes.
on one version of the story that this is the only way that I can be happy. Yes, I had envisioned that I would be with a partner and probably have a family, but you know what? Hey, if it was just going to be me, by golly, I was going to be a great time with just me
Right.
and my friends and my activities and my travel and my career. We were going to make it good, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that is what I'm always trying to help people get. And you can't just say it, you know, you have to go through an experience that helps you feel it.
Yeah.
And that is part of what I do in my 7-day chill out challenge, which is coming up next week for those who are watching live or during this week. But that's the transformation that I bring people along, is to that place of that's surrender. You really said it. And that doesn't mean giving up your vision. It doesn't
Correct.
mean giving up your dreams. It doesn't mean being resigned.
Correct.
It means embracing this and whatever tomorrow is going to bring.
Exactly.
And then you win. You win either way.
Completely.
You have a life well lived either way, whether your life includes partner or children, whether you have a long life, whether you have a shorter life. You embrace what you have. You embrace the gifts that you've been granted.
Yeah.
And I really feel, you know, like coming back to the your feelings about openness to adoption and how that shifted. That ties back to, I'm always trying to teach people, have a plan B that you can envision warming up to. This is a very hard thing to say to women who really have their heart set on a particular fertility outcome. Maybe they want to have a child naturally with their own eggs. Maybe they want to have a child anyway with their own eggs. Maybe they just want to be pregnant and have a child. It's okay if it's someone else's eggs. Maybe, you know, they just have a specific vision. But if you can't get past that vision and see another pathway as something that's tolerable and even beautiful, then you're very vulnerable to being stuck in despair, because you cannot control those outcomes. Right. And I look back when I was, you know, we were both very fortunate that our first conceptions were no problem. So I had that going for me as well. I got pregnant second cycle. I was 41 and a half years old. No problem. I had no idea what it was like to go through fertility struggles. Second time was a different story. It took a long time to get pregnant, long for me, expecting to happen immediately. It was over a year, and then miscarriages, one after another, well into first trimester. It was very, very hard compared to the first time. And I did feel that heartache. I did feel that despair. I went through periods of feeling really desperate, obsessed. I must make this happen. There's something about having a loss, even if it's like you were pregnant for one day, you got a positive test and then it went negative, or you have a miscarriage after a week. In so many women, it triggers this like severe desperation for, I must make that right by getting pregnant again and having it work out. Right. And I wasn't that desperate before I started trying for my second, but once I started going through losses, it came on like, by golly, I'm going to make this right. Yeah. You know, and it's like tunnel vision. And that's all I can think about. What day of the cycle is it? What are we doing? Oh, acupuncture. What are we doing? You know, like all this stuff. And you become defined by your quest to have a healthy pregnancy. Yeah. And it's not living anymore.
Right.
And in reality, I did know, this is what I always had going for me. I did know that I didn't have to have that work out for my life to be complete.
Yeah.
I'd never envisioned having just one child. I could have envisioned having no children, but if I was going to have one, I was going to have two. That was part of my vision. But I had also always envisioned potentially adopting. And I had also envisioned adopting an older child. I saw when I was, I think in my 20s or 30s, I saw a picture in the paper of a child at an adoption fair. Oh my gosh. Who was waiting to see if a prospective parent was going to choose him. It break my heart. And at that moment, I thought, couldn't I give the gift one day of, you know, being the parent to a child that didn't have that going? And so I always had that as something in my heart, that maybe I would do. And as I was getting older and the split was getting bigger and bigger between my current child and the child I was hoping to bring, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump ahead and adopt a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, same age as my daughter.
Mhm.
And we'll catch up because we are getting older, you know?
Right.
So I always had that there as my plan B if plan A didn't work out. So I never felt like if this doesn't work out the way my first choice vision is, I'm going to be just broken and empty. And that's what I'm hearing for you too. It's not like this is make or break.
Right.
No. There's
Right.
possibilities. And your mind is opening up to other possibilities of that second child.
Well, exactly. I mean, and that's the whole thing. It's like, I don't want to put, just with anything, I don't want to put a cap or limit on life, right? It's like, here, what's the saying? They say, if your life turns out exactly how you thought it was, then where was God in it, right? Like, you got to create this, where it's like, if you just leave yourself open, then the possibilities are truly endless, right? And so, I mean, somebody's asking in there, what about like the husband? Does your husband feel the same? And I think that's a huge part of it, right? And the huge part, like, why we're still here, it's because, not he's not necessarily in the same space. And that's kind of where I'm like, well, I mean, I can't do it on my own. So, but I was freaked out about that because I was like, that's my dream. Like, initially, that's my dream. You can't kill my dream. Like, this is my dream. And then I remember once again my mom with her wisdom, like, you don't have to worry about that. If this is supposed to happen, this will happen. I don't have to sit there every day trying to convince, trying to, manipulate. Like, manipulate and do all that stuff. I don't have to do all that because, like, that in itself, I mean, who wants an environment like that for something so beautiful to happen in the first place, So truly, that in this situation, when you talk about motherhood, when you talk about motherhood in general, but even in the stage of being a mom and wanting to be a mom, and especially wanting to be a mom when the world tells you you're older and that the egg count might look off and the quality, whatever, it truly is about surrender. It's about surrender, knowing that your life is going to be fine. You're going to be fine, and you've got to be okay with whatever. You can have your dreams and you make sure that you do everything you possibly can. But at some point, you just say, you know what? Here I am. The reason why I'm here will come to pass. And I'm going to do everything I can to maximize my life, whether it's being a mom, a sister, a daughter, a friend, whatever it is. I'm going to pour into it and just live the very best life I can. That's, for me, that's how you live full,
And I see comments coming in on the chat about this positivity. Jen says, Natalie, with all her positivity, she's talking about me. I thought she was talking about right here. Me, with all my positivity, gave me back all my belief in myself. With all the negativity a woman can hear about her age, I'm pregnant with my first baby and turning 38 this year. Congratulations, Jen.
Congratulations.
And, another viewer here, Joseph Girls Productions, says, I love Lisel. She has so much wisdom. Yeah. I want to, oh my gosh, like the time is, there's so much time going by. You just have this hour, right?
I do. Hey, we can always come back. Let's do it again.
Okay, because I did want to, so many things. I did want to ask how pregnancy went for you, but can you give like the 1 minute?
Yeah, no. So pregnancy, like, it was going fine initially. I mean, I loved every second of it, right? I mean, it's like, I think I told you, like, when my belly started to come out, even when my feet started to swell, even like my nausea, because in my head I thought, like, no matter if I got pregnant again, this would always be my first time. So I loved every second, like, of it, and my feet swell. My feet are swelling Anyway, I ended up though, having a placenta previa. And so I ended up on bed rest. But I mean, everything else was fine other than my placenta, right? Like the opening was like right there. So it was just very precarious. And so I just kind of had to like lay low. But other than that, everything else was totally fine. I mean, and he ended up coming, a C-section was scheduled, and so he ended up coming a little bit earlier because his heart rate started to just go up, down, up, down. So I'm like, listen. So he came like a couple days early, but I mean, he was little tiny. He was like 4 pounds, 11 ounces.
Oh my
But
goodness.
he was like completely fine. We went home. We didn't have to stay in the hospital or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it was. I loved it. I loved being pregnant.
Oh, really beautiful. There's just a lot of assumptions about how pregnancy might be this really rough ride because of age. And I felt there was a lot of that like assumption placed on me because I was 42
Yeah.
and I was 46 with mine. And I was like, yeah, it's hard. Like my hips hurt and various things, but I didn't have medical complications. Yet sometimes there's this assumption that you must be about to have complications because of your age, but the complications that you talked about are age related. Placenta previa can happen to anybody. That has
Exactly.
nothing to do with age.
Exactly.
So you really want doctors who are going to
Exactly.
follow your case because they want to follow your case and not be, walking around you with kid gloves
Right.
because they think you're geriatric and you're going to fall over because you're
Right.
over 40 and pregnant.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, and to your point, I mean, pregnancy, I mean, has aches and pains. So just because you're like, yeah, my hips hurt, or because they're spreading, I'm giving birth to a human. Like,
Yeah.
who's to say, my niece was 20 something. She had her baby. She still had aches and pains. So that has nothing. I mean, yes, we're not minimizing the fact that, right? We're not minimizing the fact that, yes, you're getting older, and yes, I mean, and you're giving birth. But the fact is, if you are healthy and you are healthy, mind, body, soul, spirit, there's no reason why you should just be have a black mark or stamp against you just because your age starts with the number 4. Like, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Thank you.
And it sets people up to be stressed out, to have issues, because we all know stress is a killer, right? Like, stress is what,
Right.
causes so many more issues than anything else. And that is just already setting people up to think that way, and for their body to follow with what, because your mind goes one way and then your body and everything else follows
Yeah.
it. So you've got
Yeah.
to get control
So
of your
much.
mind, and like, right? And what I said in the post, if you say this to yourself, if anybody says this to you, or you shut it down, don't even let it grow. Don't let that seed grow, because if you have even a crack or anything, any kind of moisture in you that can grow that seed, it's going to grow. And before you know it, it's just overwhelm you, and you're worried and you're stressed and you're concerned and you're fearful. And that is not an environment where anything good grows. So the moment you hear any kind of negativity, you shut it down. And you just say, you know what? Every day you affirm that you are 100% ready and willing and open and surrendered to whatever is for you.
Absolutely. And I so second that the influence of the mind to affect the body. And there's tons of research that what we expect to happen influences our health and our health outcomes. I won't cite the research now, but there's so many examples of this. And I really agree with you. Like, pay attention to what you let into your head and whether you let it grow or you shut it down and say, what do I actually believe? That doesn't mean Pollyanna. We pretend that, we're really 20 years old and we can do handsprings on the trampoline, and really you should be stretching out before you do that. Don't be a fool.
Exactly.
But don't assume a bunch of things that have not been proven about you.
Exactly.
And I think it's just so important, if I were to put a punctuation at the end of the paragraph, it's surround yourself with people who have positive, empowered attitudes, because you're going to soak up what they're thinking and feeling. And if you see people that are really limiting and really negative, you just, okay, maybe I don't want that person on my team. Maybe I don't want that provider. Maybe that friend is going to have to take a back seat for a while, because right now I need to surround myself with people who have that positive energy, who believe, who say, what are your hopes and dreams? How can I support you?
Right. Exactly. Completely agree. 100%.
Let us know, how can people find you? You are doing mom coaching right now. You walk and talk. Most of us locally, we also do it virtually. Walk and talk. People can share what's on their minds, and you listen and support them. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how people can find you.
Completely. Yeah.
So once I became a mom, all of a sudden, I just was in love with all moms. And so I say that I have a heart for the mom's heart, because so much of motherhood is just filled with so much anxiety and stress and overwhelm, and especially now in the climate that we're in, it's just a lot. And so so I help coach moms to get behind, like, what the overwhelm and all the stress, what is that even as a result of. So we don't just treat that, we go behind the curtain, so to speak, and figure out what that is, and really to help moms build their confidence up, and just really get clear on who they are first and foremost as a person, get full, which is why we're Full Belly Life. You fill up in your belly, and then out of that overflow, you're able to pour into your children and everybody else. And so we do walk and talk coaching in person and virtual, because you know what? It's easy to sit down inside, but getting outside in nature, getting that fresh air, it just really helps with your creativity, just with your mental space. And so I do mom walk and talk coaching, where we come outside and we're chatting and we're coaching and we're getting tips and we're getting tools, and we're just learning how to be our very best selves. And you can find me at fullbelly.life. And I am actually also on social media, on Instagram and on Facebook, and you can find me. And I would love to be able to help any of you moms that need just a little bit of help and inspiration and motivation to just live the best and just live a surrendered, amazing life. Because this is only life we have, just one life, and we can do it. So
thank you so much, Lisel, for blessing us with your beautiful energy. So much positive energy rippling out from this session today. I want to respect your time. I know you need to go. Let's chat after this, because if there's any of my programs coming up that you want to participate in next week,
would
I'd love to have you on board. So let's continue the conversation offline. I'm going to let you go, and then I'm going to answer any questions that people have about the events that I'm running next week.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining. Bye. Good luck to everybody. Surrender.
Bye.
All right. Wow. Oh boy. So that was really fun. That's the first time that I've hosted a guest on a live stream like this. Let me know in the comments. I wasn't really monitoring the comments very much because I wanted to be present with the conversation, but please let me know in the comments, how was that? Did you enjoy this format of our just chit chat about our views and our experiences, our personal stories about being mothers in our 40s and up? Okay, I am going to look to see if I'm seeing comments here. Go ahead and let me know in the chat, was this helpful? And I'm going to see if I probably missed questions going back. I'm not sure if I'm seeing the chat. Could somebody post something? Got it. Okay, great. All right. So I do want to make sure that if anybody is feeling like this kind of positive energy is something that you want to keep infusing yourself with, I have 3 programs running next week. If you're watching this on the replay and the time has passed, I'll probably have some wait list links up so that you can join for the next time. I usually do this sort of thing quarterly. But the 3 programs are there to reach 3 different audiences, whether you're trying to conceive, you're pregnant, or you're focusing on your general health and wellness. I have a 7-day chill out challenge program that I offer online. It works for all time zones. We don't do live sessions. It's a recorded guided lesson, and a new lesson is released each day. And you are, with a whole cohort of participants sharing comments each day. And you really feel this momentum of other people being on a positive path, taking care of themselves. It's a very rich and special experience. If you've done one of my 7-day chill out challenges before and you're here live, go ahead and type in the comments, or if you're watching on the replay, type in the comments, let us know how it was for you. Would you recommend it to others? And the commitment that I suggest is 20 minutes a day. So I purposely made it to fit into the average busy person's lifestyle, because raise your hand if you're a busy person. I know most of us feel pretty busy. Oops, I put this post up here by mistake. Oh, there we go. That's me not knowing my technology. Okay, not sure how long that was up there. So just 20 minutes a day. You can do it at your own pace. And it's about a lot of the things that we just talked about with Lisel, about embracing this moment, being fully present, and trusting yourself, learning to listen to yourself and trust yourself. So in the fertility version of the program, we do talk about things related to fertility, and the pregnancy version, we're really focusing a lot on the goal of connecting with your baby, no matter where you are in pregnancy. It can be very easy to think all the things we need to do and worries we might have, logistics, and we might miss that chance to really bond with this very special time. And in the general wellness retreat, it's about wherever you are, what is that pathway to the calm home inside yourself? Often we're trying to build another home, get to another place, get to somewhere better, when actually there's this short path to an easeful, peaceful place that's in here. And we just need a little guidance and a little bit of time to help ourselves discover that it's right here, and it can be here right now for us. So in the links below, you'll see, in the description below, you'll see links to my triple chill retreat week. So I'm running 3 challenges at once, and you can sign up for the one that is best for you. Sivan says, here we go. Sivan says the chill retreat is so special. And anybody who is in a member inside my Wise Women Circle, I encourage you to do this again. This is part of your membership. You can come aboard for the retreats whenever we do them. Okay, I'm loving reading these comments. I really missed out on reading the comment thread because I wanted to really pay attention to the conversation, but I'm excited to hear. So just go ahead and share in the chat your reactions, questions that you have. The live stream is awesome. I love the collaboration. Both of you had amazing energy. When I saw Liselle's post, we didn't know each other. I just saw it come up and I was like, she's amazing. I want to talk to her. I think she has something really worth sharing. And she hasn't gone, internet famous. She's just kind of like in the early stages, I think, of growing her online presence. And I think she's amazing. So you got to see her first, what powerful, beautiful, strong feminine energy she embodies. And yes, please do follow up with her. Maybe she'll be a guest with us another time in the future. Okay, else. Okay, I will treat myself to this comment. Your programs are the best. I'm really thankful. I enjoy my community of participants so much. Whether you've been listening to my meditations on YouTube and sharing comments there, you get my emails, and once in a while I get responses to those emails, or you're inside of my membership program where we have a private community forum and lots of various kinds of support content. We talk about all kinds of things related to life because it all relates back to fertility. So whether you're trying to get pregnant, you are pregnant, you're moving on from trying to get pregnant, you're parenting, I really pick themes that are relevant to everybody. Like this month, we talked about I did a journaling masterclass, how we can use journaling to deepen our self-care, whether we're parenting or trying to get pregnant, all of these categories. And so there's so much that we can do to enrich our lives that sets us up for well-being, no matter where the path goes. And if you are trying to get pregnant, it really feeds into better fertility. So, so 47 and starting a journey for embryo adoption. Beautiful. One of my good friends, about the same age, I think, she just shared on Facebook that she is 3 weeks short of giving birth, and that is the path that she went, and she's so delighted. So there are so many pathways that are available to us. Somebody's asking, is that possible? How is that done? Yes, you can. With the advent of modern technology, you can have an egg and a sperm from another 2 people combined to make an embryo and have that transferred. And then you're less impacted by whatever is happening with your own age and fertility, because the most age-dependent parts are the egg and sperm coming together in a healthy way. Okay. So let me know if you have any questions about the events that are coming up. The deadline to enroll is Friday, so we are January 19th. January 21st, Friday at midnight Eastern time, doors will close. And then I'm just going to get everything lined up, make sure all the emails match. And then Monday is when the event begins. So that is an event that I offer quarterly for those who are hoping to get pregnant. I have a much deeper program that continues those teachings, going into the mind-body self-care, more de-stressing practices, and all of my egg nurturing system guidance. So, my story is I had 2 miscarriages when I was 45 years old, and they were due to poor egg quality, which is one of the things that often happens as we get older. And then I took several months off to deeply nourish myself, really restoring my energy. It wasn't so much specific things that I ate or specific supplements that I took. I really didn't take very many supplements. Really, I just took a prenatal and ubiquinol, which is a form of CoQ10. The bigger things that I did for myself was sleep more, just make sure I ate well, not a special diet, just eating well, eating enough, and embracing my life. And that's something that I had moved away from when I went through that period of not being able to conceive and then getting pregnant and having miscarriages. I moved away from embracing my life as it was. I became sort of a shell of myself, kind of claw my way through, hoping to get to that successful pregnancy. I was very depleted. I had a toddler at the time, and I had to take some time to really restore myself. So I really think that each woman's pathway is going to be unique to her situation. But the core principles that I teach are, how do you really replenish your system to be as nourished and strong as possible, physically, emotionally, and spiritually? How do you boost your system with a lot of energy, physical and that more intangible energy that some people are speaking to, that you felt from Lisel and I during our conversation? That positive energy is a sort of thing that also resources your system, not going around filled with fear and doubts and despair. That really crushes your energy. It doesn't lift you up. It doesn't help you have your best fertility. So I also encourage being an advocate for yourself in your medical care, so that you are getting appropriate attention to find out if there are particular things that need attention. So I don't just teach to, it's not just surrender and be healthy. There may be other things that need attention. It could be sperm issues. There could be many things that could be blocking that alignment that allows for optimal conception. Okay, so Sivan is asking, so this time the retreat has also a different path for pregnancy. You're going to find out your result on Sunday. Okay, so here's the deal. For those who are trying to conceive, every month is another possibility that you could be pregnant. So when I run the multiple retreats, you can switch. If you find out that you're pregnant, you can switch to the pregnancy retreat. If something happens with your pregnancy, you can switch to a different retreat. So it's very fluid that way. We support you. We have support for you, whatever your situation is. So good luck, Sivan. I'm sending you positive energy this week and for your result on Sunday. Okay. Getting some love for my meditation audios. So some of my best meditations are right here on this YouTube channel. Some of you are watching on Facebook, but also come check out my Fertility from the Soul YouTube channel. I have aspirations to create more guided meditations. I feel like each one of the guided meditations that I've put out there is one of my babies. Like I put a lot of thought and heart into each one. So it's not really easy for me to crank them out. I kind of do them when I feel inspired and when I have enough time. But there's a lot more in the library back here that's waiting to be created. But my creative guided meditations are free to listen to on YouTube. And go beyond the ones that are most listened to. Inviting your baby into your room is the most listened to. Is the first one I created, that guided meditation journey style. And I love it. It's been listened to over, I think, 500,000 times. And there are also other guided meditations in the library there that you should also check out. In cultivating inner bliss, simplifying. There's a bunch in there. Each one of them is a different journey. And then a lot of people enjoy my affirmations too. These were the first meditations that I created for myself. When I became very obsessive, I wrote affirmations to coincide with the weeks of my cycle so that I could stop obsessing and focusing on negative things, but think about what do I want to be happening in my body? How do I want to hold my mindset? And I wrote the statements, at the start of a cycle, my lining is being released, creating a new home for the next egg that's coming. What do I want to be thinking in a positive way? Not, oh my gosh, my period started. This is never going to happen for me. These are the things that might go through our minds, not helpful. So replace that with things that are hopeful possibilities that are more in alignment with having that balance and peace inside of ourselves. So I have a set of affirmations for each week of your cycle. If you're not having regular cycles and you don't really know where you are, don't stress out about matching up the weeks. There are other affirmation sets like affirmations for improving egg quality that will match any time in your cycle. And just don't get hung up on the nitty gritty of, which one of these. Like a meditation isn't going to make you pregnant. So don't worry about which one and exactly how you're listening to it. It's going to help to cultivate this foundation, this atmosphere that moves you in that direction. Okay, so Lizette is asking about one-on-one coaching sessions. So I have limited one-on-one time available, but what I do offer one-on-one coaching for those who are in my group coaching program, which will open up to anybody who goes through the 7-day TTC Chill Out Challenge. You'll get an invitation to my group program, and I offer individual coaching to those in my group program. I also offer a full, I call it an integrative mind-body assessment session, consultation session for those who are not in the program and those who are in my program, where I have you complete a very extensive questionnaire. I go through it on my own, ask more questions, and then we meet on Zoom face-to-face to go over that, spend about 90 minutes really going through everything that's there. And I tell you what I'm sensing from a mind-body perspective might be things for you to explore further or to address in your fertility program. So you can see that on my website, fertilityfromthesoul.com. Go to resources. At the bottom of that, you'll see coaching, and just go through those links and you'll find that information there. You can email me at info@fertilityfromthesoul.com. Okay. Inviting your baby is one of the all-time favorites. I don't like to project what's going to happen next, but I have a vision for inviting your baby too. I want to do another completely different journey on the same theme. Okay, so I request you can add meditations for week 5 and after. So does that mean after becoming pregnant? Is that what you're asking for? I actually do have that created. It's inside of my coaching program. So that those who are in my program, if you're pregnant, you can go through the 7-day pregnancy chill out challenge and then come into my program after that. I do have a handful of pregnancy affirmation sets there. I just haven't made a complete enough set that I want to release it. I have all these visions of things that I want to create, and first, second, third trimester, I'd like to create a whole collection for pregnancy and offer that all together. So it's in the works, but it's been in the works for a while. If you want to get my in the works versions, you're welcome to come into my program. You just have to go through the 7-day series first so that everybody kind of has that foundation. Okay. I made that one last year only for the fun of it, and then I became accidentally pregnant. What are we referring to? Made that one. I'm not sure I'm following. Okay. Okay, this is a really relevant comment, though. I live in Europe, so the group schedule might not fit with my time zone. Not to worry. I have a lot of Europeans in the program. We have some in Australia as well. And I gear my group program, it's called Conceive with Ease. Most of it is not live. And then when we do the live sessions, I do them at I have a monthly live session at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So that works out to be 7 or 8 in Europe. And I have fertility coaching office hours, which I stagger so that we have one session that works for North America and Europe and another session that works for North America and Australia. So I really do work hard to make things equal opportunity for different time zones. And that's the same as the way the 7-day program is laid out. There's nobody in any time zone that gets left out. I usually do have one live session after it's over, and I do that at a time that works for North America and Europe, but anybody can watch the replay. But the core material for the 7 days is not time zone dependent. I even have an email system that will send out your daily reminders at 6 a.m. your time, in your time zone. If the system's able to detect your time, you will get it in your time zone. Okay, I have a question here about, please talk about labor and delivery. That is a whole thing. What would you like to know about it? Can you elaborate a little bit on what you want to know? Okay. Okay, Paula says I'm scared too, but I think you're responding to somebody else. Labor and delivery is, I don't know how to give a short answer to that, because I do think that we have a lot of assumptions in our culture that make it worse and harder than it needs to be. And there are kind of divergent pathways about how to think about labor and delivery. Some people think about it in a very medicalized way, where they want to have everything more managed and controlled medically. And then there's another branch who's like, hey, our bodies were meant to do this. There's a lot of ways that we can support doing this naturally. And the two pathways look pretty different. So you could probably tell from the way that I talk about the fertility things that I'm a big believer in many things are possible that your body can do naturally. And I went through my 2 deliveries with minimal intervention and no pain medication. I'm not going to lie to anybody and say it's not like on the top of the scale of intensity. It was on the top of the scale, but I survived. It was very empowering. And it's an amazing experience if you have the chance to have it. But there's just so many pathways Lisel talked about she had a C-section. There's so many pathways. And I guess my thought would be to educate yourself and recognize that there are many perspectives. So learn from different people, see what matches your style about how you would like to prepare for and experience it. And always know that, like everything, we don't have control over all the details, but we can prepare ourselves to be ready for ready for the different possibilities and knowledgeable about the different ways that we can best support our experience. Okay, now we have a question. Do you have anything for being scared of being a mother, as in being afraid of regretting it? It would be nice for neurodivergent people or people with mental illnesses. So I think that, if particularly, I get the sense that what you're in a situation where there may be some special considerations about your capacity, maybe emotionally, cognitively, to navigate the challenges of parenthood. And I think that it could be helpful to talk to other people who maybe share some similarities with the particular challenges that you have, and have mentors who you can trust to give you feedback about what it can be like, and do you feel resourced? I think fear can be, sometimes it's arbitrary, people have just scared us and now we're scared. But sometimes fear is also a helpful flag to say, hey, there's something that might be dangerous over here. And that means take a closer look. That means let's be investigative. Let's be curious. Let's not be biased. No, I must not have fear. I must just trust. Or it's scary, I better not go there. But let's be curious. What more can I learn about this? What might parenting be like for me? And then there's a certain amount of trust anyway, because nobody can tell you exactly what it's going to be like for you. Nobody knows exactly what challenges are going to come up in your parenting situation. We touched very briefly on it at the start of the conversation with Lisel, that, people say, oh, if you have a child when you're older, there's increase of risks, health issues for your child. And yes, there is some of that increase, but at any age, you're opening yourself up to all of the things that could go haywire in a human being's life. And so there's a certain amount of that too. There's not going to be any situation that's guaranteed to be totally safe and manageable. And it comes back to sometimes at some point, making a reasonable choice, say, yes, I am reasonably resourced to be able to handle these things, find resources and support when I feel overwhelmed, and I'm going to trust that we can make our way through it. I do think that there's something to be said for, being honest and realistic. How will this play into my life? Do I have space for this? Is this something I want to bring into my life? Because it also isn't a small commitment. It isn't something that you can say, let me try this on for size and then figure out how I feel about it. When you make the commitment, you're making the commitment. So I don't know. That's a really wishy-washy answer to your question about being scared. But I would tune in and listen and just say, what is this? What is this fear? What are these elements? Is it because I'm not confident about myself? Or is it I'm just afraid of uncertainty? What is it? And then what are the next questions after that? Okay, I can't wait to start the TTC Chill Out Challenge. I've been waiting for the last 2 months. I know, I used to offer every 2 months because I just hated that people were waiting, because I know how much time pressure everybody feels. And now I'm doing it every 3 months just because it is a bit of an energetic undertaking to me to do the promotions, bring everybody in and support. There's an incredible energy that flows through this program. And I want to be well-resourced myself to be able to hold space and hold that energy. So I'm really excited. Thank you for your patience in waiting. And you did the Invite Your Baby meditation just to try it, and we conceived in the same month. Okay. I'm so sorry. And I can't even say your name. I don't know what your name is here, but you were asking about being scared of being a mother, afraid of regretting it, and you're pregnant. And I was talking to you as if you're thinking about whether you want to try to get pregnant. So let me back up and first say, congratulations. And you're on the path now. So there's no thinking about another choice at this stage. At this stage, I would say, come back to, Liselle's energy about squeezing the juice and making the most of your experience as it is. Regret is really a thing that we get to choose based on how we look at things. You can sit there and compare, well, if I would have done this, but then I did this, you don't know what that other path would have looked like. So regret is sort of this weird manufactured thing that we do to, I don't know, to just depress ourselves. And I would really notice when regret brain is coming up, even fear of regret, and say, I can choose to make this a beautiful experience because I believe you can. I believe that is in your power. No matter what challenges come your way, you can, find ways to move through this. And this gets to be your journey. This gets to be your discovery of what will it look like? What can this be? And I would just, if you have some particular challenges, in your case, you're talking about neurodivergent or mental illness. It's just, these are just features of what some features of your unique makeup. And this is your discovery to discover what motherhood is going to be like for you. And I think surround yourself with positive people and believe in your own resourcefulness. Paula says, I'm scared too. Right? Paula, are you? Okay, so I am having trouble keeping up with the chat here, and I'm responding to situations that aren't actually true. So Ultimo Nome, I don't know if I'm just butchering the name there. I'm so sorry. I was speaking to you as if you were pregnant and you've lost the baby. Everybody who's watching is cringing, going, oh my gosh, stop talking. So my apologies. My third script for now you've been through a loss, heartbreaking, man, oh man, and you're trying for real. So you, in your heart, you want this. And so that fear is just something to nod to it. I know this is scary. We all feel those fears and insecurities, but your heart really wants this. You're trying again. Yeah. Paula, you said you're scared too. What's your situation? Are you trying? Are you pregnant? Okay, so fear of motherhood, how are you going to navigate? Are you going to be able to get pregnant? And what will you do when you are pregnant? And what will you do as a mother? I would just come back to placing your hand over where you feel the fear. Sometimes we feel it in our heart. Sometimes we feel it more in the belly area, solar plexus area. Place your hand. You can do this right now with me. Place your hand over one over your heart and one over your belly and just kind of breathe into that and breathe some soft, compassionate energy into that space. And being your own kind mother, breathe into that space and say, it's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to have your hopes. It's okay to have your dreams. And you're going to be okay. Thank you, everyone, for your time and your presence here with me today. Thank you again to Lisel, who was here with us for the first hour, sharing with us her vibrant, positive energy. I see a few of you would like to continue this conversation with each other. You can join my Facebook group as well. It's called Getting Pregnant Naturally, Fertility from the Soul. And that may be a way that you can carry on the conversation. You can probably also continue to chat in the comments below this video. I'm not sure exactly how that works as we end the live stream and transition to the replay version. But I want to wish you all the best. whatever your dreams are, I want to encourage you to hold your dreams. Don't let anybody be a dream buster for you. Don't let anybody tell you that your age is a limiting factor. You get to decide how big your dreams are and how you want to pursue them. I want to send everybody lots of blessings, and it's been a pleasure. Take care, everybody.